I'm not going to use PowerPoint. I'm just going to chat. I don't know if we can offer something. Hit B, and I'll shut down. Good morning. My name is Tim Rowe. I know some of you, and got a chance to meet some of you last night at the tavern. Good times, huh? So, as Danielle said, my background is I run Cambridge Innovation Center, but I was born in Boston. Lived in Boston, my kids were born in Boston, worked at Boston Consulting Group. It's a great city. So we're talking about entrepreneurship and innovation, right? Why does this stuff matter? I think it's important to step back and just say there's something global going on here. It's not about jobs. It's not about doing well economically. The innovation that is occurring, the kinds of things that Sue's group has backed. I'll just pick on in vivo therapeutics as an example. Those of you who were at TEDx Boston, where's John? Back there. Saw their CEO talk about this. They think they've figured out how to cure or reverse the effects of paralysis due to many types of spinal cord injury. They show it in monkeys. Hopefully they're going to start clinical trials in humans soon. If this works, it's going to radically change the lives of people all over the world. The cost saves, if you want to think economically, the cost to society of supporting somebody that has lost the use of their body is huge. So there's an economic picture, but there's a moral picture here. What we're doing with innovation is we're making the world a better place. Most of us came out of our high school, our college, thinking we wanted to save the world in some way. And for most of us, this is how we're going to do it. So that's why I'm doing it, and that's why we should be doing this. This is the bottom line. The only way we get better at this stuff is that we compete with others. This is what pushes us. And I want to give a shout out to Mitch here from the city of Boston, the mayor's office, because he's really been saying, look, we should all do more of this. We should talk regionally, but you know what? We're going to compete. We're going to compete hard. We're going to try to be the best in the world with this, and that's what we should all be doing. So we should talk regionally. We should say, yeah, we need those direct flights from Asia so we can get more companies into the region. No question. We should collaborate on that stuff. We should do work our hardest to get new companies built here or bring them into the region. To the extent that we bring companies from other towns within the region, you don't get credit. Although you should work on it. That's what competition is. Intense local competition is one of the requirements to be globally competitive. Anybody who studies economic development, Porter cluster theory, we know that intense local competition between the Cambridges and Bostons and Walthams and Somervilles, that is what makes us strong, and the Arlingtons, which has very good infrastructure here. That's right. So, but there's a pretty good economic argument to say that we really need to care about this stuff, and I'm curious, how many of you are familiar with a Kauffman Foundation study on job creation from new businesses over the last quarter century? Okay, so about a fifth of you. This is probably the most significant study that Kauffman has ever produced. Kauffman is the big Entrepreneurship Innovation Foundation. What they found, which was completely striking, and they did this together with US Census researchers, it wasn't on their own. They found that over the last quarter century, all of the net new jobs in the United States were created by companies 5 years old and younger. All net new jobs. Which means, in theory, and Barry maybe has a perspective on this, but in theory, if you didn't have companies 5 years old and younger, that we would have had net job decline over the last quarter century. Is that more or less, right, Barry? Okay, I'm getting it now. So, this new company thing is really important. If we don't do it, we're screwed, right? So Dan and I were in Madrid recently talking to a bunch of government planners about innovation and entrepreneurship, and they're trying to figure out how to get more innovation and entrepreneurship, like everybody else on the entire planet. And the thing is, they haven't figured it out, and the thing is that they have, 17% official unemployment, but it's really, young people at maybe 35%, something like that. It sounds like our inner cities across their entire nation. And it's because they haven't figured out how to get these new companies going. So we've got to do this. This is important. We got to do it. So the good news is that Massachusetts is probably the best in the world at this. We have the highest venture capital investment per capita of any place in the world. If you narrow that to Boston and Cambridge, most of it is in this, Waltham, a couple of places, most of it is in a small area. It's unbelievable how much of this there is. We're 50% higher than California. So there's all this California, let's not focus on that. We're doing great. Doesn't mean we can't do better. In addition to that, we're the only place in the world that is positioned to become the global hub of this innovation, collaboration nexus. And what I mean by that is this. In almost every industry, there is a place, a physical place, which is the center of the industry. If you think about finance, it's Wall Street. You can't be in finance and not have a presence in Wall Street. If you think about movies, it's Hollywood. You can't be in movies without having spent time in Hollywood. You think about fashion, is everyone thinking Paris? So maybe Milan? Is that right? Yeah, right. So the interesting thing is that in this world of scientific innovation, there really isn't one of these places yet. No place has emerged as the place in science innovation where you have to be in order to have the kind of communication that they have about finance in Wall Street, the kind of learning and expertise and specialization that you have in movies in Hollywood, the kind of deal making that happens in fashion in Paris. There is nobody has claimed that spot yet. It's open. It's an available spot. Now, we have probably our best competitor, our best positioned competitor, as most of us know. Is there somebody up there? Is that me? Am I? Sorry. Oh. No? I don't think so. Anyway. Our best competitor is obviously the West Coast, the Northern California, Silicon Valley, south of Market, San Francisco. Just some stats. So San Francisco has 65 million square feet-ish of Class A office space, mixed between innovation, but mostly it's not innovation space. Boston has, I think, about 65 million square feet of Class A office space, which mostly is not innovation space, although it's getting there, as is south of Market, San Francisco. Silicon Valley has 45 million square feet of office space. I'm guessing, about half to a third of it is really innovation focused. What I mean by that is that there's law firms, accounting firms, and other stuff that isn't actually creating new products. That takes up a lot of that and other stuff. Cambridge has about 15 million square feet, but it's almost all innovation space. So we're actually, if you look at what's in Cambridge, we have practically no law firms, practically no accounting firms, practically none of that other stuff. When you look at the big buildings, it's almost all innovation. So if you look about innovation, office and lab, including lab here, innovation, office, and lab, Cambridge alone is actually not far from Silicon Valley in terms of total scale, which is pretty unbelievable. Now, I believe we can put about 15 more million square feet of that in Cambridge alone. And I'm talking North Point through the University Park, and there's down at Alewife, and there's some other places. So we have the ability on a pure scale basis to compete toe-to-toe. Now, if we add the innovation stuff going on in Boston, which is close enough to be relevant to this community, to this being the part of this cluster, we really have a lot to go on. Now, there's practical stuff. We need to get the cities to support it and all those good things. Compared to Silicon Valley and to every other place that does this stuff, we are far, far closer, more denser. Our square feet are in one place, relatively speaking. You have to take, it's a 2-hour drive if you're going to go from one end of the valley to the other, through highways that are packed, as everybody knows. The infrastructure is not there. We have a great public transport system, but you can literally, in Kendall Square, which is my battleback, you can walk from one end to the other in 10 minutes. So the 15 million square feet that we have, most of it's in Kendall Square. I think it's like 12 in Cambridge that's in this lab and office category. And you can walk from one end to the other. And so I think we are positioned, if we want to talk about strategy to do well in this innovation and science category, we're incredibly well positioned. We're already the world leader in terms of density, in terms of venture capital per capita, all that kind of stuff. And we can create a place like a Hollywood, like a Wall Street in a way that nobody else can. So it's true that we've been sleepy as a region. We've been resting on our laurels. absolutely the case. But that's not really true anymore. The kinds of stuff that Sue's doing, there's a vibe, and I think everyone feels it. There's stuff going on now at a high pace. Stuff like Boston World Partnerships, which I'm a huge fan of, didn't exist a few years ago. So we're on a roll. This is Mass General, which is another great example. You know, this is leading the nation. It's one of the few initial partners of Obama's Startup America program, because there aren't that many other things to talk about that are interesting, that are going on. And we've got it, we're doing it. So we're in a great place. Let's do more of it. Let's collaborate regionally. Let's intensely compete locally. And let's get it done. Thanks.